Well friends, in the earlier module we have studied some basic parts of transmission lines, then the derivations of the transmission line equations, the information about the transmission line parameters and some of the physical quantities which decide the quality of transmission along the transmission line. We have never discussed how these physical quantities and the corresponding expressions can be derived. That is why we will give more stress on the theoretical part, that is derivation of the various expressions of the transmission coefficient, reflection coefficients and so on. Use of complex algebra, especially phasors, becomes an inherent part in such derivation, and that is why we will give more stress in understanding the derivations by using the concept of phasors. Transmission lines, it has two parts, one is the source part, that is generator part or sending part, and the other is receiving part or the load part, and that is why the impedance at the load end, that is load impedance, and the impedance of the generator Zg, which we call as, they play an important role along with third impedance, which is called as the characteristics impedance of the transmission line. So, these impedances, especially the characteristic impedance of the transmission line and the load impedance, they are the deciding factors in quality of transmission, and that is why the derivations will be finally done in terms of these two impedances. Let us enjoy the theoretical derivations of all these physical quantities in this module. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the mathematical treatment of reflection and transmission coefficient and the relation between them. In addition, you will be studying the variation of reflection coefficient along the transmission line. You will be able to understand the characteristic features of standing waves along the transmission lines. Along with that, you will be able to understand the relation between reflection coefficient and a new quantity called as standing wave ratio. You will be able to know about the computations of various physical quantities using mathematical expression which involve complex algebra. Ideally, it is expected that there should be 100% transmission and no reflection of the signal along the transmission line without any loss of power. A transmission line of infinite length is characterized by full transmission and no reflection. However, in practice, the transmission lines have finite lengths with generator impedance Zg at one end and the load impedance ZL at the other end as shown. Let Z0 be the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. In the earlier module, we had derived the transmission line equations in phasor form, which involve voltage and current in phasor form at a distance z from the source end and also the propagation constant gamma as shown. In these equations, the propagation constant gamma in general depends upon the transmission line parameters, namely R, L, G and C, and frequency of the signal. What is propagation constant? As the signal propagates along the line, there can be a loss of power. Also, propagation of the signal implies change of phase with distance along the line. To account for these two variations, propagation constant gamma is supposed to be made up of two physical quantities, namely the attenuation constant alpha and the phase constant beta. Thus, we have the relation gamma is equal to alpha plus j beta. The fraction of the signal transmitted depends upon the values of load impedance and characteristic impedance. If the load impedance ZL is equal to the characteristic impedance Z0 of the transmission line, then there will be no reflection, but only transmission of the signal. Let us see how this result can be derived mathematically. The transmission line equations considered earlier and their solutions are as shown. Note that each one of the two quantities, namely voltage and current at a distance z from the source end, which is also referred as generator end, consists of two components, one travelling in the positive z direction and the other travelling in the negative z direction. The components with amplitude suffixed by plus sign represents the components travelling in the positive z direction, while the components with amplitude suffixed by negative sign represents the components travelling in the negative z direction. It be noted that the quantity reflection coefficient is defined in different ways in different contexts. We will discuss them in connection with transmission lines in this module. The reflection coefficient at any point at a distance z from the sending end is defined as a ratio of the reflected voltage and incident voltage at that point and is expressed as shown. Generally, the measurements of transmission coefficient, reflection coefficient and some other quantities along the line are described in terms of the distance of the point of interest from the receiving end. It is simply because the relation between voltage and current at the receiving end is fixed by the load impedance, which is a known quantity. Knowing the load impedance ZL and the characteristic impedance Z0 of the transmission line, we can calculate the reflection coefficient, which in turn can be used to compute transmission coefficient. Standing wave ratio and other quantities at any point along the line, these also can be computed. Hence, to start with, let us see how the expression for reflection coefficient at receiving end can be derived. The current can be expressed in terms of the voltage as shown. This expression can be used to determine the current at a distance z from the sending end. With z is equal to L, we obtain the current and voltage at the receiving end as shown. In general, the ratio of voltage to current at a point is the impedance of the transmission line at that point. Accordingly, the ratio of voltage to the current at Z is equal to L is the load impedance ZL. Thus, we have ZL is equal to VL upon IL and the expression in simplified form is as shown. By using the rules like dividendo and componendo, the equation for ZL can be rearranged in the form as shown. Note that the equation represents the ratio of reflected voltage to the incident voltage at the receiving end. By definition, it is the reflection coefficient at the receiving end denoted by tau L. From the expression, it can be seen that when Z0 is equal to 0, tau L is equal to 0. That is, there is no reflection and the transmission line is called as a matched transmission line. If the load impedance and the characteristic impedance are real, then the reflection coefficient is obviously real. However, in general, these two impedances are complex quantities. Hence, the reflection coefficient is also a complex quantity. It has magnitude as well as phase. Accordingly, the reflection coefficient at the load is expressed as shown. Here, the modulus of tau L, which represents the magnitude of reflection coefficient, is less than or equal to unity. The phase angle theta L is the phase difference between the reflected voltage and the incident voltage at the receiving end of the transmission line. It is also called as the phase angle of the reflection coefficient. As stated earlier, many a times analysis of the transmission line problem is done in terms of the physical quantities measured from the receiving end. For example, the reflection coefficient at a distance d from the receiving end can be expressed in terms of the reflection coefficient at the receiving end as shown. For this, one has to simplify the expression by substituting z is equal to L minus d for reflection coefficient at a distance z from the sending end. Using the expression for the reflection coefficient at the receiving end, we can obtain the expression for the reflection coefficient at a distance d from the receiving end in terms of the reflection coefficient at the receiving end as shown. We know that maximum value of reflection coefficient is 1. At the receiving end, the reflection coefficient is mod of tau L. If the transmission line is lossless, that is, if attenuation constant alpha is 0, then the reflection coefficient has constant magnitude, but its phase angle theta L goes on changing along the transmission line in a direction from load to the generator. Thus, graphically, we get a circle of constant radius mod of tau L. At a distance d from the load, the change in the phase angle is minus 2 beta d. Hence, the total phase angle is theta L minus 2 beta d. In the case of a lossy transmission line, the attenuation constant alpha is not 0. Hence, the magnitude of the reflection coefficient goes on decreasing in its magnitude and its phase angle theta L also goes on changing along the transmission line in a direction from load to the generator. At a distance d from the load, the magnitude of the reflection coefficient is tau L into e raised to minus 2 alpha d, while its phase angle is theta L minus 2 beta d. Graphically, we get a spiral of decreasing radius with increase in the distance d. It be noted that the reflected wave, when reaches the sending end, may get reflected back along the transmission line if the generator impedance does not match with the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. Thus, matching of characteristic impedance both at sending end and at receiving end of the transmission line with generator impedance and load impedance respectively is an important point in the analysis of transmission line problems. So far, we have discussed about the power which is being reflected from the load back along the transmission line by defining a quantity called as reflection coefficient. The main purpose of the transmission line is to transmit the energy. So, how to estimate about the power transmitted by the transmission line and given to the load? So, this issue can be discussed in terms of another physical quantity called as transmission coefficient. Transmission coefficient is defined as the amplitude of the transmitted voltage to the amplitude of the incident voltage, and this quantity can also be derived in terms of the load impedance and the characteristic impedance. Let us see how. Before that, please note that both reflection coefficient and transmission coefficient are phasors, that is, they are complex numbers, and complex algebra reduces the mathematical labor in deriving these results. The two coefficients, they are obviously related with each other because the net power which is given, that consists of the sum of the reflected power and the transmitted power. So, these two results are very important as far as transmission lines are concerned. Both the coefficients, namely reflection coefficient and transmission coefficient, are complex numbers, as I just mentioned, having individual magnitudes and phases, and can be shown to be related to each other through the relation as shown. Let us see how their relation between them can be derived. Consider a two-wire transmission line of length L having characteristic impedance Z0, along which the power is being transmitted from generator end, also called as source end, towards the load end, that is receiving end as shown. In the diagram, the notations used for incident power, reflected power and transmitted power are as shown. The voltage and current waves travelling along z axis in the forward direction can be described as shown. Here VTR represents the amplitude of the transmitted voltage wave, while gamma is the propagation constant. Let V plus and V minus represent the amplitudes of the incident voltage wave travelling in the forward direction and the amplitude of the wave reflected from the load travelling in the backward direction along the transmission line. Note the sign of the term gamma L in the two cases. The net sum of the incident and reflected wave at the load ZL is as shown. The wave being transmitted must be the net sum of incident and reflected wave at the load ZL. Equating the expressions for the sum and the transmitted wave, we have the equation as shown. Similar to voltage wave, we can write the expression for current wave at the load. The three waves, namely incident, reflected and transmitted, can be written as shown. Note that while computing transmitted current, voltage amplitude is divided by the load impedance ZL. On the other hand, in the case of incident and transmitted current waves, characteristic impedance is selected for such a division. The sum of the currents at the sending end can be written as shown. Similar to the case of voltage waves, equating the expressions for the sum of current waves and the transmitted wave at the receiving end, we have the equations as shown. Now, we can obtain an expression for reflection coefficient tau L at the load using equations T1 and T2. For this, we need to exercise some simple algebraic manipulations. Multiply equation T2 by ZL and substitute the result in equation T1. This will yield the expression for reflection coefficient at the load as shown. Let us call this as equation T3. Substitution of equation T3 in equation T1 with little simplification yields the derived expression for the transmission coefficient T as shown. Note that when ZL is equal to Z0, we obtain T equal to 1, that is transmission coefficient equal to 1. Thus, for 100% transmission of the signal along the transmission line, the load impedance ZL must match with the characteristic impedance Z0 of the transmission line. It be noted that the load impedance and characteristic impedance in general are complex quantities. Hence, the transmission coefficient in general is also complex. It has both, namely magnitude and phase angle. Now, as mentioned earlier, the two coefficients, namely transmission and reflection, are related with each other. For deriving the relationship between the two, we can use the transmission of power along the line. We know that work done or energy consumed or supplied per unit time is power. Electrical power can be expressed in terms of voltage, current and impedance in various ways. For simple DC resistive circuits, we know that power P consumed by the resistor is given by the product of voltage V across the resistance and the current flowing through it. Thus, we have P is equal to V into I. For linear circuit elements, V equal to IR. Hence, P equal to I square R, which is also equal to V square upon R. Considering the sinusoidal time variation of signals in the circuit, the average power over a complete cycle of AC is given by the square of the amplitude of voltage divided by 2 times the impedance. With this much knowledge about the relationship between voltage, impedance and power, we can write the expressions for incident power, reflected power and transmitted power at the receiving end as shown. Hence, the net power incident at the receiving end is given by the difference of the two. Thus, we have P in R minus P in C minus P reflected equal to, the expression is shown in terms of the amplitudes V plus and V minus. Note that we have to consider only attenuation constant alpha. This is due to the fact that the modulus of e raised to minus j theta L into L is unity. In other words, the phase angle does not alter the amplitude of the voltage or current signal. On similar lines, we can write the expression for power transmitted along the transmission line as shown. Note that the square of the amplitude of transmitted voltage is divided by the load impedance ZL and not by the characteristic impedance Z0. Let us call the equation for transmitted power as T6. By equating the two expressions for power, namely T5 and T6, we obtain the equation as shown. Use of equation T3 and T4 in this equation with little simplification, we can obtain the desired relationship between transmission coefficient and deflection coefficient at the load, which is as shown. Note that the relationship involves ZL and Z0. One can understand that the determination of reflection coefficient and transmission coefficient in the case of transmission lines needs the knowledge of algebra of complex numbers. In the earlier module, we have seen some of the important formulae which are quite useful for solving transmission line problems. Some of such representative problems will be discussed at the end of this module. Along the transmission line, there are two sinusoidal waves, namely incident and reflected, having different amplitudes travelling in exactly opposite directions. From our undergraduate study of physics, we know that such an interaction of two sinusoidal waves of different amplitudes travelling in opposite directions along the same line will give rise to a new type of resultant wave known as stationary wave or standing wave. Accordingly, we will have the presence of standing waves along the transmission line. We can have a list of several characteristic features of standing waves, some of which are as shown. Melday's experiment is a well familiar example to know about the features of standing waves. One will definitely remind of the terms loop, node, antinode, etc. In a loop, all particles are vibrating in phase with each other but with different amplitudes, while all particles in the adjacent loops are also vibrating in phase with each other but with a phase difference of 180 degree with the particles in adjacent loop. There is no net propagation of energy between adjacent loops. In this sense, there is no net propagation of energy in the case of standing waves. At some points, the amplitude is maximum. Such points are called as antinodes. On the other hand, the points with minimum amplitude are called as nodes. Nodes and antinodes are situated alternatively at a distance of half the wavelength. These and so many features of standing waves are known to us from our undergraduate study. Same concepts apply in the case of transmission lines also. Let us discuss some of such points now. Let us derive the equation for standing wave along the transmission line under consideration. We have the expression for voltage wave travelling in the forward direction and the reflected wave travelling in opposite direction as shown. The resultant wave can be obtained by the superposition of these two waves. by using Euler's identity, namely e raised to plus or minus j theta equal to cos theta plus or minus j sin theta, we can obtain the expression for Vs in the final form as shown. This equation can be written in a more compact form by assuming that both the quantities V plus e raised to minus alpha z and V minus e raised to alpha z in general are real. The wave equation in compact form is as shown. It is called as the equation of voltage standing wave. The equation reads V equal to V0 e raised to minus j phi, where V0 and phi are the quantities as shown. The quantity V0 is known as amplitude of voltage standing wave and gives the standing wave pattern of the voltage wave. Similarly, the quantity phi gives the phase pattern of the voltage standing wave. From equation V3, apply the techniques for determination of maxima and minima of a function, we can derive the results for maximum and minimum amplitudes, which are as shown. The expression for Vmax can be expressed in terms of reflection coefficient as shown. The minimum amplitude V min is given by the expression as shown. This occurs at beta z is equal to 2n minus 1 into pi by 2, where n is 0, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, etc. This expression can also be expressed in terms of the reflection coefficient as shown. We know that in the case of stationary waves on string, the distance between two consecutive antinodes or nodes is lambda by 2. On similar lines, here also the distance between the successive maxima or minima is 1/2 the wavelength as shown. Similarly, the distance between two neighboring maxima and minima is lambda by 4. We have discussed about the voltage standing wave equation and seen some of its characteristics. On similar lines, we can obtain the standing wave pattern in the case of current waves traveling along the transmission lines. The results for maxima and minima are as shown. Graphical representation of standing wave pattern for voltage and current give an immediate understanding about all these mathematical aspects discussed so far. For example, in the case of lossless transmission line with alpha is equal to 0, the voltage standing wave pattern is as shown. In the case of matched lossy transmission line, we have ZL is equal to Z0 and alpha is non-zero, and the standing wave pattern for current and voltage in such a case are as shown. Note the phase difference between the current and voltage at a point, and also the separation of two successive maxima and minima along the line. When amplitudes of the incident and reflected wave along the transmission line has equal magnitude, the magnitude of the reflection coefficient is unity. The standing wave pattern has a zero phase. The pattern is called as a pure standing wave and is given by the expression as shown. One of the important quality related with transmission line to account for reflection loss is the standing wave ratio, abbreviated as SWR. It is defined as a ratio of the maximum value of voltage or maximum value of current amplitude to the minimum value of voltage or current, and it is given by SWR is equal to Vmax upon Vmin or Imax upon Imin. This VSWR is generally designed for measuring the reflection loss. It is designated by rho. We have ISWR for current and VSWR for voltage. The SWR is related to the reflection coefficient through the relation as shown. Since reflection coefficient has a magnitude between 0 and 1, obviously rho takes the values between 1 and infinity. The graphical sketch showing the variation of tau with rho is as shown. So far, we have discussed about the derivation part for reflection and transmission coefficient of the transmission line. Let us see some numerical examples so as to have some idea about the application of rules of complex algebra for solving transmission line problems. Read the first problem, which is as shown. Here the value of Z0 and ZL are given and it is required to find the reflection coefficient tau and the transmission coefficient T. With substitution of the values of ZL and Z0, we get the reflection coefficient as a ratio of two complex numbers in Cartesian form. The conversion of the complex number into phasor forms followed by the rules of division of two numbers in polar form yields the desired result for the reflection coefficient as shown. The transmission coefficient T can be obtained using the formula T is equal to 2ZL upon ZL plus Z0. Using the rules of complex algebra as before, we can determine the value of transmission coefficient T. It is verified that T is equal to 1 plus tau as discussed in one of the earlier modules. Now see the second problem. This problem is concerned with VSWR. Given the values of ZL and Z0, it is expected to determine the reflection coefficient tau and the VSWR rho. Note the substitution and the conversion of complex number from Cartesian to phasor representation, followed by the rule of division of two complex numbers expressed in polar form. We can have variety of problems in which simple rules of complex algebra are to be used frequently. You will ask the question, is there any other simpler method? The answer is yes. Wait for one more module to learn about them. Well friends, in this module we have discussed so many things about a transmission line. For example, the derivation of transmission coefficient, reflection coefficient and voltage standing wave ratio or current standing wave ratio. The derivations, they include the use of complex algebra. Very simple rules are being applied. Voltage standing wave ratio is a very useful quantity to determine the quality of transmission. Another point which we have discussed is the transmission coefficient and deflection coefficients. They can be computed by using the values of load impedance and characteristic impedance. When load impedance matches with the characteristic impedance, reflection coefficient is 0 and transmission coefficient is 1. That is, there is full transmission of the signal. Use of simple rules of complex algebra and the concept of phasors is a prerequisite for solving the transmission line problems. Thank you.